Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar on Editing 101, Skills to Get Started with TD Snap. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be covering skills to get started with TD Snap. So just kind of the basics, just kind of introduction to TD Snap, really. We'll be doing the introduction of the various page sets that are available on TD Snap. We'll talk about the just basically a simple setup and simple editing as well. We'll also go through the other page sets as well, just to kind of give you an idea of what other page sets are available on TD Snap. And finally, just a quick look as well at the inbuilt Google Assistant in TD Snap now as well. Okay, so just before we get started, just a quick introduction for anyone at the webinar today that doesn't know who I am. My name is Michael Brazel. I'm the Assistive Technology Specialist in Safecare Technologies. I've been here roughly around 4 years now, so I have about 4 years experience with AAC, AT, and so on and so forth. So in relation to the company, for anyone who isn't familiar with ourselves, Safecare Technologies, we are the reseller for various global products, for example, Readapt. We are the reseller for mounting solutions, for example, wheelchair mounts, table mounts, floor mounts. For Tobii Dynavox, as we'll be talking about TD Snap today, that is a Tobii Dynavox product. That is the communication software. And also we do the hardware as well, for example, the I110, the SC tablet, and the I-series as well. We also are the reseller for global products, for example, Praetorian and AbleNet for switches and joysticks. For Abelia, we do the environmental control, and with BJ Live, we focus on environmental control with themselves. And we also specialize with the SHX system as well. That is the multi-sensory room system. Okay, so before I get started, I suppose just a quick introduction in relation to TD Snap. So a lot of you might be familiar with the name Snap Core First rather than TD Snap. So it was formerly known as Snap Core First, but recently it has been given that new name of TD Snap. And you might see the new logo as well. It is that blue color with the white and green apple. So the reason for the change was that basically it is now under the umbrella name. So I suppose the Snap Core First would have been formerly kind of, identified as the Core First, the PCS symbols software, as you can see from the first image here. But there's a lot more to TD Snap. You'll see that there's actually the text-based page set and also the aphasia/stroke based page set as well. So there's actually a few different types of page sets that are within the TD Snap software. So when you purchase that software, you get all three types of page sets, and you can use different pages within those then as well and create your own page sets, for example. So the Core First being the PCS symbols, that's your basic symbol communication. You have your core words and you have your quick fires, your topics, and your keyboards, which I'll show you now in more detail in a second. Your text-based page set is for those text users, and you'll see that you have things like quick fires and phrases. And finally, your aphasia-based page set then, and you'll see you have your more in-contextual symbols, and there's more visuals within this one as well. So what we'll do is we'll go straight over to TD Snap and we'll take a look at that there now. So I'm just going to open that up there now for you. Okay, so I have it open at the moment on the core words, and this is your the first one, the PCS symbols, as I mentioned. So you'll see here now we have got Core First Learning. So we've got the core board where we can create those sentences. Over on the left-hand side is the menu bar, the toolbar, and you'll see these are the different areas of that PCS symbol software. For example, we've got the core words, as I mentioned. We've got quick fires, which are your quick responses, your everyday phrases. We've got the topics, so you have a lot of different pre-programmed topics within the software, as you can see. We've got the keyboard, so if we have someone who's able to type, we've got that keyboard, and we've also got the predictive up the top as well. And then you have your dashboard as well. And your dashboard is just the additional settings, like, for example, just being able to see your battery, the date and the time, turning up and down the volume, and small extras, like, for example, controlling your TV, controlling windows, doors, and blinds as well, if you had the environmental control built in, and also being able to control smart speakers, for example, Alexa or Google or Siri as well, which I'll show you about the Google Assistant in more detail in a while. So that is the PCS symbol page set. This is your core words. So what I'm going to do is just switch over to the next one to show you the text-based page set. So your text-based page set, as you can see here now, you've got your phrases. So these are your quick fire phrases, basically. For example, I need help, what's up, going on, this is an emergency. We also have below the quick fires your everyday phrases. So these can be set up into different categories. For example, phrases around the bathroom, phrases around your computer, phrases around eating and drinking, everyday phrases, basically. So if I was to jump into one, for example, eating and drinking, you'll see I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, please give me smaller bytes, and so on and so forth. So these are completely customizable as well. So you can add in all the information you want, your specific, phrases that you use on a daily basis. Below phrases then as well, we've got the keyboard. And again, this is for your text-based user. You've got the keyboard. Again, this is the QWERTY keyboard. We can change that as well to ABC if we wanted to. And we also have the predictive up the top as well. For example, if I was typing my sentence.
H-I-W.
So how, you'll see if I press space, it's going to predict the next word. How are you? So I can speed up that conversation using that predictive as well at the top. And we also have the note section where we can save in some notes. So if we are typing longer text, or messages, we can put that in here into the buttons. We can save those notes then for later. And again, we also have the dashboard in this particular page set. So again, things like your volume up, volume down. You can go into the partner window if you have your, iSeries, for example. You have launching Mirror for Android or computer control, additional settings as well on the iSeries. And again, you have those remotes as well. For example, going into controlling your TV or even controlling your speakers like your Google Assistant and other smart speakers. So that is your text-based page set. And I'm going to switch over now to the aphasia-based page set. And you'll see it is very similar. Again, we have got the toolbar on the left-hand side. So this particular page set for aphasia/stroke is built up of lots of different categories. Again, we've got a word list. So you'll see if I click on word list, we've got things like names, people, places, date and time. So if I even pop into one, for example, like weather, you'll see there's all different buttons about the weather. So we can talk about the weather today. Is it sunny? Is it cloudy? Is it rainy, for example? We can jump into, if I go back to the left-hand side under word list, we've got our quick fires. Again, your quick responses, your everyday phrases like yes, no, good, bad, hello, goodbye, and so on and so forth. We've also got a whiteboard. So we have that whiteboard where we can create those particular whiteboards on a daily basis. The great thing about these whiteboards as well is that if I actually start to draw something, for example, if I just say hi on this particular one, I have that whiteboard here, so I can press new whiteboard on the left-hand side. That particular whiteboard I had previously created stays there, so we don't have to rub it out, we don't have to delete it, it can stay there. So I can go back at a later point. For example, if we were even talking about a photo, we went down to, the loch in Cork, and, we want to talk about the swans, for example. We have that photo, we can revert back to it, and we can talk about it again another day. Do you remember that day we went down there, for example? So that is your whiteboard. If I jump back, below whiteboard, we've got our topics grid. So your topics grid is built up of, again, a lot of different categories. For example, my info, family, aphasia, hobbies. So if I jump into my info, for example, it's like a passport for yourself. So my name is, my address is, my phone number is, my birthday is. So again, that's helping the person to remember those simple details that we would, take for granted that we use on a daily basis. We've also got our visual scenes. So much like the topics grid, the visual scenes are more visual based. So for example, if I jump into my info now, you have the person's photo and then you have the detail around it. I can press back. And for example, maybe there's a favorite, restaurant we go to. Clicking on the restaurant. Here's us at the restaurant, for example, having our dinner. What do I want to eat? Where to go? What are the choices? And so on and so forth. I will drink this. I will eat this, for example. So you have lots of different categories and words you can phrases put in as well. So it's completely customizable. Also in this particular page set, you've got the keyboard again. So again, we have that QWERTY keyboard and we have that predictor up the top that we can type in our phrases or our sentences. The next section, again, we have the dashboard. So again, you'll see there's a lot of similarities between the different page sets, but again, they would have different buttons within those categories. So in our dashboard, this time you might have the date, time, and the day as well here. You've also got a calendar. So within this calendar itself, we have daily activities. I can pop into daily activities and you can write out your activities for the day within these buttons. You can also go into the weekly schedule. Again, we can have a weekly schedule. We can add in all the detail in there. And we can also, there's a photo album. So again, I can jump into the photo album under the dashboard. We can create photo albums. So we can say, for example, oh, do you remember this holiday we went on? We have all the photos and we have all the text in underneath. And as we click to the next arrow, it'll go through the photos for that particular event or holiday that we went on, for example. Or even if it was just a day out, all those photos for that day out as well. So that's the dashboard within the aphasia-based page set. And the rating scales is the last area within this. So we have our pain rating scales. So we can have small ones, for example, 1, 2, 3. We can have medium-sized ones, 1 to 5. And we can even have large ones as well. So we have a rating scale here of 1 to 3, We have our 5-button rating scale, 1 to 5, so what the level of pain is on 1 to 5 scale, or even a large scale of 0 to 10, for example. Okay, so they are the different page sets that are available within TD Snap that come when you purchase TD Snap. Okay, so what I'm going to do is jump back to the original PCS symbol one, so the core first page set. Okay, and what I'm going to show you is just very basic, simple editing. So for someone who just wants to create a quick button, for example. So no matter what page set I'm in, whether it's the core words, whether it's the text-based page set, or whether it's the aphasia-based page set, editing is always going to be the same. It's always going to be going up to the settings up the top right-hand corner and editing those buttons. So I'm just going to quickly jump into the topic section of the core first page. So jumping into topics, clicking on your topic one, because I know this is a particular blank one, and you'll see there's lots of blank buttons. So for me to quickly edit, just simple editing, all I have to do is go up to the top right-hand corner. That is your settings cog with the pencil that you'll see on the top right-hand corner. So I'll click on that. The minute I click on that, we have a gray bar down the right-hand side and a gray bar down the bottom that says button, page, page set, user, and system. So all I have to do here is select the button that I want to edit. So I'm just going to press simply on the first white button up the top left-hand corner. And the minute I do that, I have that blue outline around the button, a blue dot on each corner, and the blue tick up the top left. And what that means is that's the button that I have selected. So all I have to do then is once I click that button, you'll see that a menu has popped up for me. That menu says label, message, and no symbol. So this is the content that we want to add into that button, for example. So all I have to do is give it a label first of all. And the label is very similar to what you already see on the screen. For example, back, core words, quick fires, topics on the left-hand side, or on the right, topics, words, sports. That word is a label. So for example, if I was to type in a few fruit items like apple, all I did was type in a label there. Straight away, the message you'll see underneath apple says apple as well. It's slightly grayed out, which means it's going to speak that exact word that I've put in the label. And over on the left-hand side of label and message, we've got that little image of the apple. So when I select that image, if I wanted to, I could change that to maybe a green apple, and then I press done. Okay, so that's all I've done to create that button, a label, and just change the symbol. If I go back to the top right-hand corner and press done, that brings me back to communication mode. So the minute I press my button,
apple,
it speaks for me straight away. So that is how easy it is just to create that simple button. Again, it's the settings cog with the pencil up the top right, clicking on the button you want to edit, typing in my label. If I'm happy with that PCS symbol, I can press done up the top right-hand corner and press banana.
Banana.
And it speaks for me straight away. So that is how the simple editing of Snap, TD Snap works for you. And as I mentioned, that's the same no matter what page set I'm in, whether it's the core words, whether it's the text or the aphasia-based page set, it'll always be settings, select the button I want to edit, and add in my content. Okay. So that is just the setup and simple editing of the software itself. So now what I want to move on to show you next is the other page sets that are within TD Snap. So within TD Snap, you do get the text, the aphasia, and the core first. So that always comes when you purchase TD Snap. But you can always purchase the additional page sets as well. So the additional page sets, if I just jump back to my slides here now, are pod and gateway. So you can also purchase these particular ones here again. So we have the pod page set, as you can see, that's the top right-hand image. You can have different size page sets for the pod. That's just one particular one that's available, 3x4 or 3x5, apologies. The other one then you'll see is gateway. So gateway can also be purchased as an additional purchase within the software as well. These particular ones are in-app purchases. So if I actually want to go and purchase that particular one, I go to the settings of the actual device, I click on system, and then I add that in. Okay, so that is your gateway. Next, I want to show you the Google Assistant, and the Google Assistant is built into TD Snap. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm just going to show you a quick video about Google Assistant, and then what I'll do is I'll go into TD Snap and I'll show you how you would activate it, for example, and how you would use it. Okay, sorry. Okay, so we all might be familiar with the Google Assistant. We all might have maybe a Google speaker at home, or you might even have an Alexa speaker at home. But recently enough, Toby Dynavox and Google teamed up, and Google Assistant is now built in the actual software itself of TD Snap. So when using it, basically that is linked into your TD Snap. So all you have to do is have a Google account. And when you have that Google account, you can log into the TD Snap software. And automatically then, when you're logged into the TD Snap software, you program in your buttons, and then the Google Assistant will speak for you. So it gives you that freedom, basically. So you can control if you have it connected to your, your lights, or even your doors, or your blind. You can have that connected to that, or you can even use it for simple things like, funny jokes. Google tell me a joke, or even if it's, for example, we're out and about, and I can't remember how to get home. I might have a button program to say, what's the next bus home to Douglas from the Cork City, for example. So you can do lots of things with Google Assistant, and it's built into the actual device. So rather than only having that speaker at home, we now have that freedom to be anywhere with our Google, and it'll automatically speak back with our communication device. So I'm going to head over again to the software again, to Google or to TD Snap, and I'm going to show you that. So there's a particular page set that is set up for the Google Assistant, but you don't necessarily have to stick to that particular page set. As I mentioned, and as you saw there a few minutes ago, I edited buttons there within the topic section. So anywhere at all, whether it's the text, whether it's the core words, whether it's the aphasia page set, you can edit in any of the pages within those page sets. So it's completely customizable, the software itself. I'm just going to go into the standard page that's already created. So I'm going to click on the dashboard. So it's generally found in the dashboard of all the page sets, and you have the Google Assistant button that is already programmed in. So if I select Google Assistant, it brings me into this page where we've got an information topic, buttons about time and weather, buttons about broadcasting, my assistant commands, fun stuff, music, games, calling, and so on and so forth. So there's lots you can actually do with it here. So the first step, if you want to use your Google Assistant within your TD Snap software, is to having a Gmail account. So once you have that Gmail account, you just need to log in. So what we need to do is click the settings cog with the pencil up the top right-hand corner, click user settings. So down the bottom, we've got user settings. When you click on user settings, if we scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see it says Google account requires web browser. Okay, so it just means that you need to be connected to the internet and you need a web browser on the device that you're using. Now, most of the communication devices would have that particular browser anyway. It has the Microsoft Edge on it. So you can use Microsoft Edge, or you could use Chrome if you downloaded that. You just need to go to the area where it says connected as Michael at SafeCare Technologies. So you need to connect there. It says not connected to an account most of the time if you're not logged in. You press there, you log in, it brings you to the browser, and you just verify your email address. Once that's done, it automatically logs you in here, and your Gmail will appear down the bottom here as connected as. Once that's done, we can press done up the top right-hand corner. And when we press done up the top right-hand corner, we're now into that particular page set. So I can now go into the particular buttons that are already created. If I wanted to use the standard generic ones, for example, I could go into information. And what I can do is I can start pressing my buttons. So for example, I could ask a question to Google.
What is the capital of Italy?
So what is the capital of Italy?
Rome is the capital of Italy.
And Google will speak back. So again.
What is goodbye in French?
What is goodbye in French?
Au revoir. On the website FrenchToday.com, they say.
Okay, and if she keeps speaking, I can just say be quiet. Okay, then I can say, what's the next bus to Douglas?
What's the next bus to Douglas?
The best way to get to Douglas by bus is to catch 203 departing at 1:37 p.m. from Pouladuff Road South.
Be quiet.
So you can see that you can use that for information, but I can also, if I press back, I can go to fun stuff, for example, and I can ask her to tell me a joke.
Tell me a joke.
I'll let you decide whether this one is sarcastic. Why can't eggs keep a secret? They tend to crack under pressure.
Okay. Or you can even, ask her to tell you a story, sing me a song, or even it's my birthday.
It's my birthday.
Happy
And
birthday,
she sings happy birthday, for
to
example.
you. Happy birthday to
Okay,
you.
so I'll
Be
just stop it there.
quiet.
So again, you have that fun stuff, but again, we can go into music and get her to play music, and we can also go into, for example, calling if we have the phone connected to the Google Assistant, or even home controls, turning on the lights, dimming the lights, make it warmer if it's connected to the heating, and even turning on the fan. They're using a simple switch, for example. So there's a lot you can do with that Google Assistant there now. And again, I'm just going to show you quickly how you would create those buttons. So if you were creating a button, all you would need to do is press the settings cog with the pencil. And when you're adding a button, so if you have this gray section with the plus signs, you just press the plus, and that's going to create a button for you. Now, I'm not going to create a topic here today. I'm just going to create a simple button just to show you. Okay. And you can say, for example, how are you? Okay. So if you're just asking Google how she is today, you just type in how are you as your label. Okay. What I'll do then is below you'll see that there's actions. We just need to add that simple action to the device. So the adding of the action is basically your Google command. So we need to search for that Google command. Now I can see it's in my favorites already. It says send Google Assistant command, but I can look, for example, in the search bar and I can type in Google. Okay, it comes up then, it narrows down my search. So send Google Assistant command. I'll select that one. So that's now programmed in. Okay, so I can send button message to text to Google Assistant, send the current message window to text assistant. So I'm just going to say the first one, that's okay. And now I'm going to press done up the top right hand corner. And then I press my button.
How are you?
I'm fine. You're very kind to ask, especially in these tempestuous times.
Be quiet.
So you see how easy it is for me to create that button again. I'm just creating the button as normal, adding in the label, and just adding in that extra action, which is basically to add that Google command. Okay, so that is your Google Assistant as well. So what I'll do is I'm just going to go back now as well, because we have a little bit of time, and I was hoping we would as well at the end, because I just want to show you a little bit more about the simple editing as well that I was showing you earlier for anyone who's kind of new to adding buttons and so on and so forth. So I'm going to jump back to our topic section, which is in the TD Snap Core first page set. I'm going to go back into your topic 1, and this is where I was creating those fruit items. And what I want to show you is basically when you're adding those buttons, what the next step is. If I want to use, for example, my own photo, or if I have a photo on the device that I want to upload, for example, where to find them and how to do them, for example. So again, if we're editing, it's always going into the settings, okay? So when we're in communication mode, you'll have the settings cog with the pencil up the top right-hand corner. So the minute I press that, that brings me into edit mode, and we'll have the word done up the top right hand corner, and that gray bar down the bottom that says button, page, page set, user, and system. So again, I'm just going to simply select a button, okay? And this time I'm going to type in another one. So let's say, for example, I'm typing in kiwi, okay? So I want to use the kiwi fruit in this case, but we'll see that the kiwi bird has appeared on the system. So I want to change that from the kiwi bird to the kiwi fruit. So what I need to do is I've typed in my label kiwi, and left of that, we've got the image or the PCS symbol. So when I select that particular one here, that brings me up the library of different images. So I can select my kiwi fruit here, pressing on this one and pressing done, and that changes it over to the other particular symbol that might be on the software. So you might find that sometimes if you're using core words, some people might be familiar with one core word or symbol, whereas others might be familiar with another core symbol. So there's different symbols, for example, the word want and so on and so forth. So if I was to type in, for example, want, okay, so I'm wanting an apple or wanting a banana or wanting a kiwi, you'll see that particular symbol will pop up there of the man trying to grab the box. So he wants the box. If that's not the symbol that you're familiar with, we can select that. You'll see there's lots of different ones. Maybe it's the lady, or maybe it's just the two hands with the box, or maybe it's the speech bubble. Again, you have the different options that are available here. I can select this one and press done, and that changes it over to the other PCS symbol that is available for me then. Okay, so that is the symbol itself, and that's changing it over to the other PCS symbol. If, for example, I want to use my own photo, you'll see below the PCS symbol, we have a little camera icon. So that camera icon will give me access to be able to use the camera on the device, or use the photo library. So when I select that button, I have two options. I have from camera, which basically means I can get the image from the camera on the device. So I'll take it with the camera, either if it's the front facing one or the rear facing one, or I can go to the photo library and I can search the files on the computer. So when I go to photo library, I can search for my image, and then I can add that image to the particular software itself then. So that's how you would do those two. The last thing I want to show you then is if you're adding a message to the actual button itself, okay? So if you want to add a message rather than just the label itself, for example, I want an apple rather than just the word want, I'll click on message and I'll type in my message here. So I want an apple. And when I select the button this time, instead of it just saying the word want, it'll now say a full sentence.
I want an apple.
So you'll see it says the full word. So you can have a word, you can have a sentence, or you can even have a story as well. So you can add as much as you want into that particular button. And when you press it, it'll automatically speak that particular button. So that is your content, being your label, your message, and your symbol. Over on the right-hand side of label and message, when I go back into the settings, you will also see that there's a microphone. So if you wanted to record a message, you could do that as well with your voice. You could speak that message into the device, and that will record and say it when we press the button. And finally, to the right-hand side of the microphone, you've also got a music file. So the music file itself, you could add in an MP3 of a song. For example, if it's someone's favorite song, we can add in that music file into the software as well. For anyone as well who would have progressive, like for example MND, you might need to do message banking. So for message banking, you can do that as well, and you can add those buttons to the software as well. So you can save the message banking messages on a MyToby Dynavox account. You can transfer them over to the software, and we can add them into the buttons then as well. So we can actually have those specific messages that we've recorded, and we can put them into our particular categories or pages and so on and so forth. So that is the basics and simple editing of TD Snap and the different page sets and so on and so forth, and also Google Assistant as I covered as well.